I know my neighbors are getting late. I could hear them. It should be enough oil to get me through Christmas Eve. All right. I want to quit. I want to reinvent myself in the new year. It's always fun to get into the new year, reinvent oneself. Maybe, maybe not. 20 captains. Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Dak the Stack Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, Devin Ashane, Tony Pollard, Jake the Turd Ferguson, Brandon Cooks, Lynn Aubrey, Jason Saunders, Michael Gallup, the Cowboys D, the Dolphins D, Cedric Wilson Jr., Rico Dodal, Braxton Berrios, Durham Smythe, finally Jalen Tolbert. Will these men be captain material? Only time will tell. Well, of course, if we had the Game Genie cheat code. Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagliabue, Genova, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert would be our deck, and we would have no $20,000 deficit. What to do? What to do? Tyreek Hill, who's listed as questionable for Sunday's contest against the Cowboys, is trending towards playing. Schefter notes the Dolphins want to see how Hill feels Sunday as opposed to specifying how he'll feel following a pregame workout, which lends some credence to the notion the superstar wideout would be available for the pivotal matchup. That Hill also participated in practice both Thursday and Friday certainly reinforces that notion, but fantasy managers should still check in on his status prior to the kickoff. CeeDee Lamb recorded 7 receptions on 10 targets for 53 yards in Sunday's loss to the Bills. He added 1 rush for 3 yards and a touchdown. The Cowboys' offense disappeared for much of the game, so it was a forgettable performance for Lamb. However, he managed to turn in a respectable stat line thanks to a garbage time drive late in the fourth quarter, during which he recorded 3 receptions for 15 yards and also tallied his rushing score. Positively, Lamb extended his touchdown streak to 6 games, and he has 9 scores across his last 8. He should be in good position to bounce back Week 16 in a potential shootout against the Dolphins. Dak Prescott completed 21 of 34 passes for 137 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception in Sunday's loss to the Bills. He added 4 rushes for 27 yards. Prescott turned in an underwhelming performance against the Bills and had only 43 passing yards on 13 attempts at halftime. He used a garbage time drive late in the fourth quarter to pad his yardage total, but he still averaged only 3.9 yards per attempt and was held without multiple touchdowns for the first time since Week 6. Prescott was one of the leading MVP candidates entering this game, so there's a strong chance he'll be able to put this performance behind him as he leads the Cowboys to a Week 16 matchup. against the Dolphins. Tua Tagliabue completed 21 of 24 passes for 224 yards and one touchdown in Sunday's win over the Jets. After the Dolphins took advantage of a couple of short fields to get a rushing touchdown and a field goal, Tua helped him extend the lead to 17-0 with a 60-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Waddle, who accounted for 142 of Tagliabue's 224 passing yards. While Tua didn't light up the Bucs score in Tyreek Hill's absence, he avoided major mistakes while letting Miami's defense and running game lead the way. The starting quarterback took most of the fourth quarter off after his team built a 30-0 lead. Tua has only thrown one touchdown over the last two games with Hill banged up, so he'll hope to get his top target back week 16 against the Dolphins. It's one for Hill. It's one for Waddle. It's one for the Dolphins defense. See, they mentioned run game. Assuming they mean Mostert. Was it Mostert like the whole run game? I'm going to put Mostert in. They didn't mention it by name, they just said the run game. Unfortunately, because Shane is back, so it's like they're just kind of blending them. Let's see. Never know. Jalen Waddle caught 8 of 9 targets for 142 yards in Sunday's win over the Jets. With Tyreek Hill sitting out for the first time this season, Waddle stepped up with his highest yardage total of 2023. Waddle briefly went to the blue medical tent to have his chest examined in the first quarter, but the receiver then said after the game that he just had the wind knocked out of him. Waddle showed no ill effects after checking back in, and he got behind the defense for a 60-yard touchdown in the second quarter that had 6 catches for 118 yards and a touchdown on the 7 first-half targets. Waddle picked up where he left off after halftime, converting on a 4th and 5 with 25-yard catch over the middle to set up a field goal on Miami's first possession of the third quarter. Regardless of Hill's availability for Week 16 against the Cowboys, Waddle should continue to play a key role, as Waddle had at least 79 receiving yards in 3 of the last 4 games after reaching that mark only twice to Week 11. That's 2 for Hill. Raheem Mostert doesn't have an injury designation for Sunday's game against the Cowboys. As had been the case for the past several weeks, Mostert has had his practice workload managed while he contends with lower body injuries. But the Dolphins never provided any indication he was at serious risk of missing Sunday's game against the Cowboys. After missing practices Wednesday and Thursday, Mostert took full reps Friday to guarantee his availability for Sunday. Mostert's top understudy, Devin Ashane, has also avoided the injury designation despite being limited Thursday and Friday. But Mostert still shapes up as a strong fantasy option if he continues to occupy the largest side of the timeshare with Ashane out of the backfield. After pining pay dirt twice on the ground in last week's 30-0 win over the Jets, Mostert is up to 20 touchdowns on the season, tying him with the Niners' Christian McCaffrey for the NFL lead. Hot damn. Devin Ashane is on the board. Devin Ashane. That's our 6. Let's take it all the way till we get to Devin Ashane, shall we? Old news for Mr. Croft. Mr. Steven. Looking for our 6th card. Who will be our 6th card? Oh, I got the worst leg cramp sitting in this fucking chair. Old. I hate being old. My father told me never to get old. Should have listened. We're definitely going to do the night game tomorrow when we wake up. After our swim. After the morning swim and morning breakfast. Malik Davis. The Cowboys elevated Davis to the active roster Saturday. The second-year pro is now in line to appear in his 3rd game of the season Sunday, most likely adding depth to Dallas' special teams unit. Over the course of Davis' 2 appearances this year, he's played a total of 31 snaps, all as a special teamer. Bowers. Hey, T. Billy Johnson. Jalen Cropper. He's always on the cropper. Oi, his bloody swine. Right. So far, nobody in the $200 pile. Hunter Lepke. Played for the Cowboys, 57 snaps on offense, and carried once for 3 yards in Sunday's loss to the Bills. Lepke picked up the first. Damn it. 1 second. Lepke picked up a first down on 3rd and 1 rushing attempt on the Cowboys' first drive of the third quarter. The rookie fullback has carried just 4 times and has drawn only 3 targets through his first 14 games, accounting for 26 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. Oladi fucking da. Chris Brooks, activated from injured reserve Tuesday. Brooks hasn't played since week 6 since the Panthers when he suffered an ankle sprain that led to his stint in IR. The return of the BYU product will bolster the depth of the Dolphins' backfield, where he'll slot in behind Raheem Mostert, Devin Achane, and likely Jeff Wilson. That's 2 for Achane. Mostert is on the board. Jeff Wilson is on the board. Old news. Darrington Evans. Old news. No, this is it. Darrington Evans reverted to the Dolphins practice squad Monday. Evans played 13 snaps on special teams, failing to record a stat in Sunday's win over the Jets. They'll now wait for his next chance to join the active roster. Well, keep waiting, asshole. Suck a dick. Salvin Ahmed. Nothing. Still injured. Over Cray Crap. Shan Makin. Princeton Fat. Ingo. Peyton Henderschlut. Julian Hill. No. The deuce is loose. No. Robbie Chosen. Played 23 of the Dolphins' 61 snaps on offense, but wasn't targeted in Sunday's win over the Jets. With Tyreek Hill missing his first game of the season, Chosen re-entered the mix at receiver, after he'd been healthy and active in each of Miami's previous 3 contests. Though he ran his second most routes of the campaign, Chosen didn't draw any looks from quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who threw only 24 passes in the blowout win and was mostly dialed in on Jalen Waddle as his favorite target. If Hill is able to play in the Dolphins' Week 16 game against the Cowboys, Chosen can find himself back on the inactive list. That's 3 for Hill. That's 2 for Waddle. Old news on Mr. Claypool. Old news on Mr. Schoonmaker. Jeff Wilson Jr. rushed 2 times for 5 yards during Sunday's win over the Jets. He also secured 1 of 2 targets for 1 yard. Wilson continues to handle a clear depth role behind Raheem Mostert and Devin Achane, both healthy. It's difficult to imagine a path for Wilson to handle a relevant workload without at least one of the starters ahead of him missing time, meaning he remains off the fantasy radar heading into a key Week 16 matchup against Dallas. That's 2 for Mostert. That's 3 for Achane. Cavante Turpin. Old news. Now we're into potential captain territory. Is active against the Bills. That's old news. It has to be from the Bills game on. That guy's out of a captain's chair. Durham Smythe doesn't have an injury designation for Sunday's game against the Cowboys. Smythe was limited in all 3 of Miami's practices during the week, but there's no concern over his availability come Sunday. He continues to see plenty of playing time, but is used primarily for blocking in a Miami offense that predominantly features its wide receivers and running backs in the passing game. So they're saying fuck him. Braxton Berrios secured both of his targets for 13 yards during Monday's loss to Tennessee. Ugh, old news. Fucker. Rico Dodal doesn't have an injury designation for Sunday's game against the Dolphins. Dodal has been listed on the injury report for 6 weeks without ever missing a game. He'll work again off the bench as the Cowboys' number 2 back behind Tony Pollard. I forgot to put Tua in there. Yeah, so Tua's in there. Without missing a game. Tony Pollard is on the board. I marked Hill and I marked Waddle, right? When we read about Chosen. And then Jeff Wilson Jr. They talked about Hill and a Shank. So we got that. All right, we're good. Rico Dodal. I can't see Rico Dodal being a captain, but you never know. Cedric Wilson Jr. secured 2 of 3 targets for 2 yards during Sunday's win over the Jets. Wilson's lack of production was disappointing considering the presumed opportunity opened up by Tyreek Hill missing the game, but unsurprising considering Jalen Waddle's line is 8-142-1 line. In all but the deepest of formats, Wilson carries no fantasy value with a Week 16 matchup against the Cowboys coming up. Yeesh. It's 4 for Hill. That's 3 for Waddle. Dolphins D, Cowboys D, Michael Gallup. Caught his only target for 9 yards in Sunday's loss to the Bills. Dak Prescott posted his lowest passing yards total of the season and completed just 21 passes, his lowest total since the Cowboys' Week 7 bye, giving few opportunities for the team's depth receiving options to make any kind of impact. Gallup has caught 1 pass in less than 3 of his last 4 games, seeing only 1 target in each of those contests. But he could see a volume Week 16 of the road game against the Dolphins turns into a barn burner. Dak is on the board. They didn't talk about Dak on Lamb's card, right? Just trying to remember, making sure. Jason Saunders converted all 3 field goal tries and all 3 of his extra point tries during Sunday's win over the Jets. Saunders wasn't called upon for any difficult kicks in Sunday's win, with his long attempt of the day coming from 37 yards out. He faces a tougher Week 16 matchup against the Cowboys, however, one in which Miami's offense may not be put in such a comfortable position. Since the Dolphins' bye in Week 10, Saunders had appeared at just 2 field goals in 4 of the last 5 games. Brandon Aubrey converted a 32-yard field goal attempt in his only PAT of the day in Sunday's loss to the Bills. While the road struggles of the Cowboys' offense didn't provide Aubrey with much volume, the rookie kicker once again had a perfect afternoon. He's converted on an NFL record 31 straight field goal attempts to begin his career and is 40-43 on extra points. But Sunday's game was the first since Week 5 in which he didn't kick multiple PATs. Aubrey could be a lot busier in a potential Week 16 barn burner against the Dolphins. They love that barn burner term, huh? Mike White. Old news. Trey Lance, inactive against the Bills. Bullshit old news. Skyler. Old news. Brandon Cooks recorded 2 receptions on 6 targets for 10 yards in Sunday's loss to the Bills. Cook's 6 targets were his highest mark since Week 10, though he turned in a dismal performance. His day could have turned out differently had Dak Prescott been able to connect with him on a deep pass in the Cowboys' first offensive possession. But instead, he was limited to short area targets the rest of the game. With CeeDee Lamb accounting for so many targets in the offense, Cooks will likely remain an inconsistent contributor for the rest of the season. Oof. That's 2 for Dak. Lamb is on the board. Jake the Turd Ferguson recorded 6 receptions on 8 targets for 44 yards in Sunday's loss to the Bills. Ferguson was one of the few Cowboys skill position players to post a fairly typical stat line in the blowout loss, though his path to that production was atypical. He failed to record a reception until the first possession of the third quarter and accounted for 3 catches and 23 yards during a garbage time touchdown drive late in the fourth. Nevertheless, Ferguson has at least 5 receptions and 8 targets in 3 consecutive games, giving a very consistent role in which is typically one of the more potent offenses in the league. Tony Pollard said Thursday that during his early portion of the game that he was still working his way back from off-season surgery to address a leg fracture, but that it's night and day difference now. Pollard said it wasn't until halfway through the season, a little further through the bye week, that he felt he was starting to get into the groove of things, heading into Dallas's bye in week 7. Pollard had logged back-to-back games with under 30 rushing yards, while in 8 appearances since he has been held under 50 yards on the ground at a single time. He's also been targeted at least 4 times in 5 of his last 6 appearances, though it's somewhat concerning that the exception came in last week's loss to the Bills. If Pollard can indeed showcase some extra playmaking ability and burst in week 16, he can take advantage of a Miami defense that's looked vulnerable versus the run at times. That's 2 for the Dolphins defense. Finally, Devin Achane doesn't carry an injury designation at the Sunday's game against the Cowboys. Achane never took part in practice this week, but the Dolphins evidently came away encouraged enough from what they saw from the rookie in limited sessions Thursday and Friday to clear him for Sunday's contest. Since returning to action week 13 following a one-game absence due to a knee issue, Achane hasn't played in more than 59% of the snaps in any of the ensuing 3 contests. But he still produced 152 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on 33 carries to go with 11 catches for 84 yards during that stretch, even though Raheem Mostert remains option 1A out of the Miami backfield. The explosive Achane still sees enough touches to make for a high upside weekly fantasy play. 3 for Mostert. High upside weekly fantasy play. All right, on the Cowboys side, we got 2 for Dak, 1 for Lamb, 1 for Pollard. That's it. On the Miami side, we got 4 for Hill, 3 for Waddle, 2 for the Dolphins D, 3 for Mostert, 3 for Achane, 1 for Jeff Wilson, 1 for Tua. So, I mean, it's like Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Both Dolphins receivers, both Dolphins running backs. Craziest shit's been done. Can we do it? I guess we'll find the fuck out. All right, you got Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. I'm just dying to see if we can get it done. Lamb. So you got Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. We're gonna fuck around with this. Prescott up top with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Tua up top, Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Waddle up top, Hill. Let's Waddle. Then you got Mostert and Achane. Mostert up top. You got Hill, Waddle, and Achane. You got Achane. You got Hill, Waddle, and Mostert. Pollard. You got Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. It's gonna be hard to get these together, but again, we're running our $20 of the variance underneath. Turd Ferguson, Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Brandon Aubrey, along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Saunders, along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Gallup, along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Cowboys defense, along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Dolphins defense, along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Achane. Cedric Wilson Jr. Not sure if we keep him there. Along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Shane. Rico Dodald, Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Shane. Braxton Berrios, along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Shane. Durham Smythe, along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Shane. And finally, Jalen Tolbert, along with Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Shane. Odds from the top, shall we? Well, we get our four guys here. I really didn't like anybody in the $200 pile. I mean, you could run Dolphins D to really just fuck up. I mean, just fuck them up here. I mean, this is Hill at captain, so they can always run. And it's about running them together. I feel like one, you run with Mostert, and one you run with the Shane. One down here with the Shane. You got one down here with Mostert. I feel like you have them in there. You want them in there. Those are the four guys you like. But you can get Lamb, I think, no? No, that's too tight. You gotta take two turds here. Liking that. Again, two, you get two turds. Stick right this for a second here. I mean, do you run on one Waddle and fucking Hill together? That Dolphins D came up twice. Dak's coming off a lousy game. You want that Dolphins D? Fucking take it. Let's get weird, man. Give him Hendershot. Do we want to run a variant of this? I don't know if there is there a variant for this one? I don't think we need to run it. Here's where it gets a little kooky. I think here we kind of fade Hill. And you come in with Dolphins D and Julian Hill. I'm digging that. Yeah, I'm digging that. Fade Hill. She's got Waddle in there already. Coming with Saunders and Julian Hill. Julian Hill underneath. Flowing it out, kid. We're just flowing it out. Saunders. Lefke. Davis getting these games. Elevated. Adding depth to the chart. The second year pro is now in line to make an appearance in his third game of the season Sunday. He's not getting touches. I tell you, that Dowell's banged up. It's Deuce Vaughn. He's behind the pecking order there. Getting older. Fury got a fucking the kicker. Mm. Again, Aubrey. Take the punt. Ingold. Fade Hill. Ferguson. Smythe. Fade Hill. Dak. Ingold is our guy. It's bad. This just fits. Head, nope. Stick. Going against Buffalo. And dispute. Three. Colbert or Jeff Wilson. Colbert. Saunders. Smythe. Can't do that. Let's Fade Hill for Lamb. Close it up with Dodal. Gallup. Dodal or Cedric Wilson Jr. Yodel spells Pollard. Get him in there. Oh, we want Aubrey, of course, to complement. So we're going to fade Hill for Lamb. Oh, we just missed fucking Lamb. But we'll complement with Pollard. Yes, Pollard to grind the stone. Keep it on the ground. Absolutely. Low scoring affair, no quarterbacks get involved. Dolphins, we want Saunders. And fade Hill for Lamb. Cedric Wilson Jr. Close it up with Aubrey. You want Dodal though? Look, Dodal can get in there for Pollard. So let's not rule that out. Braxton Berrios. Fuck it. Smythe and Cooks. Fuck it. Hmm. Just putting a captain there. Berrios. It's supposed to be Tolbert here. There's no one. It's coming underneath for Hill, Waddle, Mostert, Shane. One more lineup here. Let's make it a double defense. Lamb, Waddle, Mostert, and the Shane. Yes, I like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm exhausted. I'll save the rest for tomorrow. May fate and faith decide your fortune if you should win. Blow your money right here on the Pharaoh's Lounge Kickstarter. Peace, love, war, all that other shit in between.